Hello friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. I am back in Norway, as you can see from the snow outside. Can't even see the sky. In this video, I am going to show you how I set up my spreads for January in my new bullet journal. And honestly, I think it turned out really cute and I can't wait for you to see it. As this is the last video I am publishing this year, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has followed me this year. All the support that you've given me this year, it really means a lot and I'm really thankful. Also a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes and courses for those who want to expand their knowledge or their skills. They have so many different kinds of classes, but the ones that I'm especially intrigued by this winter are the many classes on how to keep a sketchbook. I would really like to be more diligent about keeping a sketchbook in 2023, so I'm really excited to dive into Leah Goran's class called Illustration and Inspiration, Keeping a Sketchbook. I think that there's always more to learn when it comes to art and how we make art and why we make art. And I think that even though I make art all the time, it's sometimes good to kind of just slow down and go back to the basics and just enjoy the process. The first 1,000 people to click the link in the description box will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And if there's any time of the year that you should really take advantage of this offer, it is now. A lot of us are having Christmas holidays right now. A lot of people have some extra time off. So if you need some time to just be creative, relax, or do that thing that you have just put off because you never find the time, then I think this is a great time for that. So thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And now let me show you my January setup in my bullet journal. I really went outside of my comfort zone when creating the setup. I thought I wanted to finally do a proper winter theme, and blue is just kind of that color that you associate with winter because of the light. In Norway, we have this thing called the blue hour, which is kind of just around twilight, where everything just looks blue. The light is blue, the snow looks blue, and so winter is blue. I am playing around with a lot of stickers and ephemera in the setup, but I did want to draw something for my cover page, so that is what this is. I drew this girl all dressed up in her warm winter clothes, a long down coat and a hat and scarf and just all the things, because the cold weather is not a joke. You need proper gear if you want to be outside in the winter in Norway. I drew her on some dot grid paper that I ripped out of my 2023 reading journal. If you watched my setup video for my new reading journal, then you will have seen me perform surgery on my new notebook and remove some of the pages. And I thought, I need to use those pages for something. So I used it to draw this girl. I didn't really have any other paper that would be great for drawing on, so I used this one, and it's dot grid, so it's not perfect, but it doesn't really have to be, and it goes well with the rest of the page. So I thought, why not? To do the line art, I am using my Copic multi-liner fine liners. These are my favorite fine liners, and I used a few different thicknesses, but mostly the 0.5, 0.25, and 0.1, just for different things in the drawing. For example, for the hair, I like to use some thinner lines to accentuate all of the strands and everything, and then for smaller details I'm also using a thinner line, and then for the bigger outlines I'm using a thicker fine liner. Since my new notebook is a B5, it's quite large, so I drew this girl quite big. She's almost the height of an A5 page, so quite large, and so I wanted to try to make as many details as possible in the line art so that it would look a little bit more interesting. I always have a hard time drawing big things because I feel like you need a lot more details when the drawing itself is really big. But yeah, I think it turned out fine, and I did end up coloring her after, but I wanted to get the background down and make my collage before I colored her in, just because I wasn't sure exactly which colors to use. And I think it worked out quite well actually to do it this way. Then the collage was kind of dictated by the colors that I thought looked nice in the collage, and then I just decided on the colors for the girl later. I got a lot of this blue stationery in Tokyo. You know, I was kind of freaking out right before I was gonna leave, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to buy more stuff, but obviously can't buy everything. I mean, I could, but and so I just got a few packages of these like sticker ephemera, and I really like these because they kind of look like paper, but they are stickers. So it makes it really easy to make layered collages like this, even if you don't have any glue or glue tape or anything. So yeah, I was kind of just building this as I went. I had some sticker sheets, I had some sticker flakes, and I did kind of fail and I bought a lot of stuff that had kind of gold gilding, and I didn't want to use gold in the setup. I wanted to use silver. So I did end up buying some stickers that I didn't use, but I'm sure I can find a different use for it in the future. This is me like really warming up to blue because I haven't been the biggest fan of blue. I feel like I did actually challenge myself a lot this past year to use more blue, and in every video where I used blue stationery and like any blue colors, I kept talking about how I don't like blue and it's really difficult for me to use blue. And now I think I'm at the point where I really like how the setup turned out and I'm really enjoying the blue. I'm starting to wonder if I've just like used the wrong kind of blue all this time and that's why I didn't like it, because I'm using a lot of dark blue in this setup and it's quite magical actually, and maybe I just don't like light blue, I don't know. But it's definitely a cooler color, so maybe it also has something to do with the fact that it is now winter and it's cold and there's snow, and maybe it just feels more appropriate for me right now, I don't know. I wasn't quite sure how to fit in a header for this cover page because the girl was just a little bit too tall. You know, I could have written January below her or above her if she was a little bit shorter, but because I drew her so big, then, you know, there wasn't really any room above or below. So I decided to just write Jan instead of January, and then a 1 for the first month of the year. And then I just glued those kind of on top of the collage. And on the other half of the spread, I am doing my monthly calendar. B5 notebook is quite large, so I didn't really feel like doing a double spread, like a whole spread collage. So that's why I did kind of a cover page on the left side and my monthly calendar on the right side. And because the pages are larger in a B5 than in an A5 notebook, I feel like I actually have a lot of room to write, even though it is just a one-page calendar. So I kept it quite simple. I just drew the calendar grid, and you know, January has 31 days, happens to start on a Sunday, which means that it kind of spans over 6 weeks. So the calendar turned out quite tall, but yeah, I just decorated with a collage kind of below and above the calendar grid. And then for the top, I did write out like the first letter of each day, just because I felt like I needed something written on top of the spread, and I didn't want to write January again or like this month. Sometimes I just write this month over my calendar, but this time I chose to do like the days of the week in the same style as the header on the other side of the spread so that it looks cohesive. When I started brainstorming this theme, I thought I wanted to go with like a dark night sky type of theme, but then it kind of just turned into a winter theme. I was really happy I found these like small silver and white and blue kind of snowflake washi stickers, and I used those to kind of make it a little bit more wintry, because a lot of this ephemera isn't necessarily winter themed. Like there is some like watercolor stickers and other ephemera that has blue on them, but some of it is like star and night sky themed, some of it is kind of vintage themed. There are some like wax seal stickers and floral stickers, and not that much like snowy and winter stickers. So the little snowflake stickers really came in handy here. And it also gave me a lot of ideas for some new sticker sheets that are coming out in my little shop, and also for the Patreon stickers and Patreon printables that are coming out this month on my Patreon page. And it kind of worked out well because as I was setting this up, I was kind of thinking about what I would have liked to have, like things I was feeling like I was missing, or types of stickers and ephemera that I would have liked to have that I didn't have. And that's kind of what's so great about being able to make my own printables, because I get to create things that I wouldn't have otherwise, or that I can't find in shops and stuff. So yeah, for the calendar, I kind of just made some blobs with a light blue marker, and then I wrote all the dates with this like blue glitter gel pen. Oh, it's so pretty and glittery, and I really like it. I used it for some more details in the setup as well, but I need to like use it more this month because it made me really happy to see like all the glitter. It's called Kese Lame, I think. I bought it in Japan, but it is from Pilot, so you might be able to find it elsewhere. If I find it online, I will put a link in the description box. And then to color the girl, and for any other coloring that I am doing in this setup, I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real brush pens from Kuretake. These are really lovely, and I got some new blue colors to use in this setup specifically for this, and they are just really rich and vibrant colors. Now, what I didn't take into consideration was that I would have to color her hair and her skin as well, so I got out some of like the beige and kind of brownish colors that I bought for my November setup in my bullet journal. If you remember, I had a kind of like green and beige brown theme going on in November, so I used some of those markers to color her skin and her hair, and that meant that I didn't have that many options for her skin color, but it was kind of a fun challenge just using those colors that I had. And actually her hair and her skin and her sweater are made with just the two same brown beige markers, so that's kind of a fun challenge to do that. I actually really enjoyed using these markers for this drawing. I feel like they blended well with each other, and they worked really well on this thick paper, because the paper that I'm using is from a notebook therapy notebook, so it is 160 GSM, quite thick. And because this was like on a separate piece of paper, I didn't really worry very much about it bleeding or ghosting onto the other side of the paper or anything. So I kind of just like went over some areas many times, like especially with the hair, where I was kind of like blending a lot to give it a little bit of movement, because you know, hair color is rarely completely flat. And then for the rest of her clothes, except for her little cardigan, I tried to just use blue and make it as monochromatic as possible, just using different shades of blue, because I didn't want to introduce any other colors. I was already a little bit sad about having to use like beige for her skin color and her hair and everything, because I wanted it to be completely blue, but I don't know, it would have been a little bit too Avatar-ish, I guess, if her skin and her hair was blue as well. And then I used a white gel pen to make some like glossy details here and there, make some highlights. I didn't really do much shading, but I did use a silver Jelly Roll pen to kind of make some sparkles on the sparkler that she's holding. And normally that would be gold or yellow, right? Because it's a sparkler, but I used silver and I think it turned out really cute. And then I also used the gel pen, like the silver and the blue glitter gel pen, to make some other like sparkly details here and there on the spread, and it turned out really cute, I think. So let's move on to the next spread, and this will kind of be my monthly dashboard. This is where all the planning will be happening, kind of. So on the left side, I will have my task lists, one for my shop, one for my Patreon, and one for all the other tasks that I need to do, basically. And then on the right side of the spread, I'm going to have a little habit tracker and a little section for content, not necessarily a content tracker or a content calendar, but kind of like a task list for content as well. So I have a few different frames, different sections for things happening on the spread, and I built it little by little. As you can see, I put some washi tape down at the bottom and then kind of did parts of the rectangles and the squares and the sections for all of my tasks, and then went on to do a little collage on the top of the spread. So a little bit chaotic, but I'm very intuitive when it comes to my collages, so can't always plan things perfectly, and they just kind of happen as I go. So that's why you will see me like test a lot of different configurations here before actually deciding on what I want to glue down on the page. This was a very tricky spread for me to make because it is the first time I'm using a B5 notebook. I still don't really know what kind of layouts will work and if this one will work at all. I feel like I have so much more space than normal, but at the same time, it's not an A4, so it's not double the space of an A5. It's just like a little bit extra. So January will definitely be an experiment for me, probably February and March and April as well, while I try to figure out what works and what doesn't. So you'll probably see a lot of different weekly layouts and different monthly layouts as well as I kind of figure out what works for me. But yeah, for this month, the spread will look like this. And I did a little January header here as well in the same style as on the previous spread, and actually also very similar to my yearly setup. If you watched my 2023 bullet journal setup, you can see all of the spreads that I set up before this January setup. So like all of my yearly spreads, all of the spreads that I will be using while I'm using this notebook, that is not necessarily a monthly thing, but rather a yearly thing. I didn't draw any people for the spread, and instead I just focused on the sections where I'm actually going to write things, and then kind of just built a collage around it, kind of decorated around those sections. For the little titles for each of those sections, I did a little bit of a different thing for each section kind of, but on this page on the left side, I am just doing a little color blob, kind of trying to make it look similar to the watercolor blob stickers that I've been using. And then I used a Fude Touch brush pen to write the headers, and you saw me write the I in Ikigai Papir before anything else, and that was because I wrote with it and then I realized that the light blue marker wasn't completely dry, so it made the ink kind of feather out. So if you're gonna do marker on top of marker, then make sure that the bottom layer is dry first, because otherwise you're gonna have a mess. So the three sections on this side is the Ikigai Papir restock and shop update, because I am restocking a bunch of older sticker sheets that I've been sold out of for a while. So many of those are coming back. I've gotten a lot of emails and messages about the mochi tone stickers, and I am restocking all of those. I might even do like a mochi tone bundle if anyone's interested in that. But yeah, with the new shop update, there's gonna be like 15 or 16 mochi tone sticker sheets in total, so the collection is definitely growing. And then I have a section for Patreon. There's always a lot to do when you're managing a Patreon page, and lots of rewards that needs to happen, so there is that. And then I have one section for other tasks, which admittedly is not the best title for this, but it will have a lot of things in there. That's why that section is also the biggest. And then on the right side of the spread, I have a habit tracker on top. I'll have room for 4 habits. It's been a while since I did habit trackers in my bullet journal, so I'm trying it again just to change things up, And then below the habit tracker, I have a little content section, which is like a task list for content. And when I say content, that means like YouTube videos, reels on Instagram, TikTok, whenever I remember to post on TikTok. It's not very often. And just like photos, taking photos. I have 2 Instagram accounts to manage, which honestly is not going so well. These past few months I've really fallen behind, and I try to tell myself that it's just social media and shouldn't take it too seriously, but it is also kind of my job, so I have to take it seriously, It's kind of weird, but I think that if I can just get a little bit ahead during January, then maybe I won't feel like stressed out about it all the time, and I can plan a little bit more ahead than I have been doing this fall, which is understandable because I did travel a lot and I was in Japan, and I was kind of struggling a lot with this, like I want to have fun and do things, but I also need to work, and I'm not on vacation, but it still kind of feels like it. And yeah, so January will be good. I think it will be kind of like a reset, and that's what January is all about, you know, the new year and kind of revisiting your goals and reflecting and just, yeah, doing a little reset. Actually, the more I look at this spread, I think it's gonna work out quite well for me. It's nice to have everything on one spread, and this will be kind of the only monthly spread, well, except for the calendar on the cover page. This is kind of the only monthly spread for January, because the next spread will be the first weekly spread of January. And so I'm really excited to see how it works once January actually starts and I actually start using this. But I am positive and optimistic, and I think it's gonna be quite fun. If you're wondering where my washi tape is from, I'm using some washi tape from MT, some from Notebook Therapy, some that has been gifted to me by pen pals, and also some from Muji. So a lot of variation this time around. I have stuff from all over, it seems. And yeah, the last thing that I did was to just color in the little titles. I was debating leaving them just white, but I ended up coloring them in, and I do feel that they are a little bit more visible when they are a darker blue than if I had just left them white. I think it would have looked good either way, but I'm happy with what I did. I like that I was able to fit so many stickers and like collages onto the spread, even though there is still a lot of room to write stuff. So yeah, that makes me really happy. That is a win for a B5 size, I think. The next spread, and also the last one that I'm making in this video, will be my first weekly spread for January. And for the spread, I got out some more of the paper from my reading journal, and I drew this guy, I guess. Like, I rarely draw men just because, I don't know, it's a big challenge. They're difficult for me, but I thought, you know, it's a good challenge and it's good practice, so I tried drawing this guy. I looked at so many reference photos for like men's winter clothes and men's bodies. Like, I don't know, they're just so different sometimes. So I definitely have room for improvement when it comes to drawing like male bodies, but I think this turned out quite cute, so yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I had to use the exact same colors for his skin and his hair as the girl on the cover page because it was all I had on hand. So, you know, they go well together. Maybe they're siblings, I don't know. I want to draw more masculine bodies this year, like this coming year. I keep saying this year, but it's next year. It's still 2022, but in 2023, yeah. And so I wanna practice more. So this is kind of the first. I am also drawing some more men for my printables for this month and stickers for my shop, so that's exciting. I'm excited. While I waited to color in the girl until after I had kind of made the rest of the spread and the collage that would be behind her, I actually colored in this guy just right away because it would be quite a different spread, I knew, so it didn't really make a difference whether I colored him ahead of time or after, so I decided to just go for it and color him in right away. And I think I could have done a little bit more shading on this guy, but overall I think he turned out quite nice. I used the Sakura Jelly Roll pen for some more white details, especially when coloring with really dark colors and like several shades of dark colors. The colors can very easily kind of just blend together a little bit. So I made sure to have some white details, especially on the jacket and on his sweater. And then now for the spread, I'm putting him kind of on the side as decoration. This is the first weekly spread I am making in a B5 notebook, so this is kind of like starting with journaling all over again, trying to figure out what will work and what won't. So I am kind of just adapting one of my usual layouts to fit this size, so I'll have a lot of room to write, but basically I am doing 2 columns on each page, and then I'm doing sections for each day. So like the inner columns on each page will have the days of the week, and then the outer columns will be for decoration and also for like a monthly calendar and also like a header, just to show that it is January, because although I know that it is January, it is kind of nice to still have the name of the month on the spread. So I am using the same font as in the other spreads. This is just my comfort font, really. It's just so simple, just this little bubble letter. And then I'm using a smaller, like a thinner fine liner to give a little drop shadow to the headers. And I think that it makes it a little bit more interesting than if it was just like regular bubble letters. When making bubble letters like this, I really recommend writing it with a pencil first, especially the S's. S's are so difficult, you know? I also made a little drop shadow with a thinner fine liner on the boxes, and it definitely gives the spread a little bit more dimension, I think. So yeah, I think that was a good choice. Since I have a whole spread for tasks on the previous spread, and then each day of this week has like so much room to write, I decided to not worry about any more tasks list or lists of any kind on the spread, and I'm just using the outer columns for decoration. So I'm doing like very simple collages here on the right side because of course our man here will take up most of the space because he is quite large. So I'm just making sure that there is a little bit of color behind him, a little bit of collage happening behind him, and then I can just glue him on top. So I don't have to be that meticulous about the collage because he's going to cover up most of it anyway. And then on the left side I'm also doing a collage, and on this side I will have the header like January, and I will also have a little monthly calendar because it is nice to have a calendar so that you can kind of see what is going on the rest of the month, I think. To make my monthly calendar, I actually used one of these stickers from Archer and Olive. One of my patrons, Kristen, she sent me these a while ago and I just haven't been able to use them until now, but the colors fit perfectly for the spread, so I thought this is the moment for the sticker. And I used the blue glitter gel pen again to write all the days of the month, and yeah, I think it was just a really nice detail. I really like how it turned out. As a kind of final details for the spread, I am just placing a few more snowflake stickers just to make it more wintry, and then I'm coloring in the January header and also all of the daily headers as well. But I did use like 3 different blue colors for the headers so that it wouldn't be too uniform. It would be a little bit playful because I feel like this theme is quite playful, so I used 3 different shades of blue. They're all the Kuretake Zig Real Brush pens though, just yeah, the same blue colors that I used to color in the people that I drew for the setup. And that is pretty much it for the spread and for the setup. Of course, I'll have to make more weekly spreads, and I'm gonna try a few different layouts for this month. Maybe I can even fit 2 weeks onto one spread, stuff like that. I'm really excited to just be creative with different weekly layouts and try new things. So yeah, that's it for the spreads that I made for January in my bullet journal. Here's a little flip through so that you can get a closer look at all of the spreads that I made this month. And that's all for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And again, thank you so much for being with me in 2022, and let's make 2023 a great year. A big thank you to my patrons. You guys are amazing. You made this past year so wonderful. I've been able to do so many things, create so many stickers, so many themes. It's really been an amazing journey. So thank you so much to all of my patrons. You guys are the best. And thank you so much to everyone who has made a purchase in my little sticker shop. I have a pre-order open right now for a little like Patreon themes of 2022 sticker bundle that will be sent out in the beginning of January. So if you haven't pre-ordered it yet, there is a link in the description box. And I think that's it. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. And now Mats and I are going to take a little Christmas break. I hope that you're all having... Okay. Oh. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next year. Bye!